But we begin tonight in the United States, where there are calls for a national focus on mental health after a massacre at a school in Florida claimed at least 17 lives. Nikolas Cruz, a former student who was expelled from his high school last year, returned to the school today with a semi-automatic rifle and multiple magazines, shooting dead 17 people and wounding 8 others. In the aftermath of the attack, much discussion about whether Cruz had exhibited behaviour that might have given some warning of his mental health, and calls for greater mental health support for students. Bridget Burke has more.
As emergency helicopters hovered overhead, teenager Nikolas Cruz surrendered quietly to police, handcuffed with his hands behind his back and his head down.
We have a shooter in custody. He was taken into custody, I believe, about an hour after he left Stoneman Douglas, after he committed this horrific, homicidal, detestable act. The FBI and our crime scene people will begin processing this horrific scene as soon as the buildings are cleared.
Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel describing the scenes after 19-year-old Cruz opened fire inside the school he was expelled from, killing at least 17 students.
And this is a catastrophic, an unbelievably catastrophic day in Broward County history. It's devastating. I'm sick to my stomach.
Earlier, a fire alarm was triggered as Cruz, armed with countless magazines and wearing a gas mask, began his assault. There were chaotic scenes as more than 3,000 panicked students were herded by teachers into hallways and then back into classrooms to take refuge in closets.
My best friend was actually locked in a closet for a while, and I was really nervous because she wasn't answering me at first. I wasn't able to communicate much with her. I'm sure she heard gunshots, but I'm not sure what happened after her, because after I heard those shots, I just ran and I was off the property in a matter of 2 minutes.
Outside the school, distraught parents came to find their children.
We literally just came from there, picking up some kids along the way because a lot of the kids are really distraught, as you can imagine. So it's just terrifying. Terrifying for the parents, terrifying for the kids.
Norris Perogal just grateful her son survived.
Oh my God, you don't understand. This is so, oh, what a joy. Oh, it's such a joy and everything. I just hope all the other kids are okay, and oh my God.
And were you able to talk to your mom during all of this inside this?
Yeah, but they told us to turn off our phones and everything, and as soon as I walked out, I just grabbed my phone and tried to talk to her.
Broward School Superintendent Robert Runcie said the school had no correspondence with the gunman before the attack.
We were celebrating our teachers, our schools, and got in the car, and as I'm driving back to the office, I start seeing communication, and I hear from staff that we may have a tragedy, and that's so I literally have come from giving the Teacher of the Year a car and celebrating our teachers and our district to where I am right now.
He said mental health issues were a challenge and needed to be addressed within schools and in response to gun violence.
We've got to be able to recognize individuals that are in distress, that have challenges, and be able to find ways to support them. But our schools, we do what we can to make sure they're as safe as they possibly can be for our children. And again, this is a day that we prayed would never be here at Broward County, but we're dealing with it, and we're going to deal with it as a community. We'll pull through it, and you know, my prayers and heartfelt sorrow goes out to the families and this entire community.
12 victims were killed inside the school, 2 outside and another on the street. 2 more victims died later in hospital. 8 others were seriously injured, 3 critically. This is the 8th fatal shooting at a school in the United States this year. For Checkpoint, Bridget Burke.